Hello snowboarders of the internet, I am your host TC and this is Top 5s, the only top 5 show in snowboarding that you come to see which boards are going to get you laying trenches. On today's episode we're going to be talking about the top 5 best hard carving boards of the 24-25 season, and no, neither of these boards are going to make the list. Number 5, the Nitro Pantera. This board absolutely rips a carve where this thing will cut through ice because of the way they created this sidewall mixed with the base there. They actually made it steeper, so you get a finer edge right on the ice that really cuts in, almost acts like a hockey skate there, just giving you that one point to really just lay in. This thing is going to be super aggressive. It does have Nitro's true camber profile to it, so when you push into that camber profile, it holds and it stores up all that energy, shooting you into the next turn. This board is going to have some Koroyd in it, so it is going to be a little bit damper. That mixed with it having a little bit thicker core, it wants to blow through any feature or obstacle you put in front of it. If you're just cooking through those steep runs and you run into a mogul field, it's just going to blast right through it. The name of the game on this thing is have your A game, just because it is that aggressive. Super fast, carves super hard. That's what this board is about. Number 4, the Capita Mega Death. This might be the softest board on the list, but don't let that fool you. This thing still carves extremely hard and pretty much is faster than anything out there just because of that structure. This has one of the best structures on the market and it comes factory. This thing is crazy fast where you can still torsionally flex the board so you can get those quick carves around, but it really lays an edge down and it just holds that edge. This thing wants to go fast. You'll blow past skiers with no problem on it. Now, even though it's not the stiffest board out there, it is nice and damp. It doesn't feel like super noodly, and when you're at high speeds, you don't even feel the tips shake on it at all. This thing just feels nice and stable. It's not gonna have the thickest core and it's not gonna be the most durable, so definitely take it out when you have those perfect groomer days and there's not a bunch of rocks and shark teeth hanging out there, just because it's not going to be the most durable. Overall though, if you're looking to lay a trench with this board, it's going to do it for you. It can handle any turn out there with ease. And I mean, you're going to need to have a little bit more skill to ride this thing, but just hold on because it just wants to go. Number 3 is the Stranda Cheater. This board, it has a rocker on the nose with a camber dominant profile that is shifted slightly towards that back foot, so when you are on those wide open turns, those Euro carves, you can really use that back foot to power off of and sling you into the next turn. And that's really where this board wants to be. It doesn't want to be on that super packed run on a Saturday. This thing is made for just wide open groomers where it's just you and fresh corduroy. You can lay this thing down really nicely where it does have a urethane sidewall on it, so when you are on icier conditions or a little bit more chewed up conditions, you're not going to feel that vibration as much, which is awesome, especially when you're at high speeds where this board wants to be. Foot steering this thing isn't going to be the easiest, but you can still do it. So when you are going slow, starting off on cat tracks, that sort of thing with it, you can pick up speed, and that's where it really wants to perform. I wouldn't say take this on cat tracks. I would definitely keep it to those wide open groomers, but it does have a little bit of accessibility there just to get you to the other side of the mountain. This thing is really made for those wide open turns, going fast and really just getting it over on edge. Because of that rocker in the nose that I mentioned before, it does allow it to get over a little bit easier, but you can still really set it where it doesn't actually feel like it has that rocker because of how well this thing grips at those contact points. They actually added an extra contact point right underneath your feet at the inserts. Now you won't notice it until you get on the snow, and then it really grips in and helps you along there. Remember to like, subscribe, click that bell, and turn on those notifications so you don't miss any of our scheduled programming. Number 2 is the Cafe Racer. This is going to be the only board that Korua offers that is full camber, and you're going to want it for this thing, where at high speeds it carves with the best of them. It's not going to be the stiffest, most rigid thing out there where you can actually shift your weight and feel that board flexing into the turn with you. So it is a little bit more user-friendly in that sense. Now, if you're that intermediate rider, you might want to steer clear. It's definitely for that more advanced rider out there for sure, just because when you do get this thing on edge, it holds super hard. And as I mentioned before, when you are trying to make those short, quick turns, it does get a little bit hooky, especially at those slower speeds. So speed is your friend on this thing. Now, when you are going into those Euro carves, it helps to shift that weight, start with it forward and shift it back as you are really setting that edge in, and it just stores up all of that power in the board. Now, this board does have a nice mixture of dampness with liveliness, so you can actually spring in and out of turns, but you're not feeling all of that chatter or anything underneath your feet. Overall, a super solid board, especially if you are that turner out there that is on that more advanced level, really wants to just get low and put those nips to the ground. Honorable mentions. Remember, these are all great options for hard carving boards. They just weren't able to crack our top 5. The first honorable mention is the Nidecker Blade. This is that racing inspired board for somebody that doesn't want to pay those prices, where it has a whole bunch of camber in it mixed with more of a classic side cut on it, so it just feels like that old school racing board where it just wants to be on edge and it just wants to go fast. The second honorable mention is going to be the Ride Commissioner. Now, this board doesn't have a urethane sidewall like every other ride board out there, so you're gonna feel a little bit more. It also has carbon from the nose to the tail running all the way through it. So this thing is gonna be stiff as nuts, but it will hold that edge extremely well. You're gonna feel a little bit more just because of less dampening agents in it, but it still carves hard, still goes real fast. And the last honorable mention is gonna be the Korua Cafe Racer Plus. Now, this board just missed our list just because we had the regular Cafe Racer, which we both agree is a better all-around board. It also doesn't have that metal top sheet like the Cafe Racer Plus does, where you're gonna feel a little bit more chatter. It's just gonna resonate everything through the board a little bit more, and it has a super high price tag that honestly most people don't need to go out and spend on. And remember, all of these are great options, they just weren't able to crack our top 5. If you're looking for another way to get involved in the Angry Snowboarder community, why don't you head on over to Angry Snowboarder VIP? Sure, I could explain it here, but we have a great video over there getting into it really in depth. And the number 1 hard carving board for the 2025 season is the Jones Freecarver 9000. This board has a super long side cut on it, so it really wants to do those long drawn out hard carving turns, but you are gonna have some 3D shaping in the nose and slight in the tail as well. And that's just gonna help you get in and out of the turns. Now, that mixed with all of the camber in this thing, you'd think it'd be super aggressive, but it's actually not that bad. If you're looking to get into like the hard carving game or anything like that, this would be a great board to get you in and keep you in it, where intermediate and an advanced rider can still ride this thing and not totally get throttled or get thrown around. This thing is nice and approachable, but it still holds that edge extremely well. This thing also is gonna have no top speed on it, where you can just point it and go. If you ride with skiers, that sucks, but you'll be passing them on this board with no problem. As always, guys, I've been your host, TC, and this has been the best top 5 carving boards for the 2025 season. If this list just isn't for you, sounds a little bit too aggressive, why don't you go check out our top 5 cruisy carver list?